I hit a shot into the 18th green. It was a long par 4. And there's a gentleman who was over in a cart beside the green. And I got a feeling he went like, he looked at me like this. And he introduced himself as Bobby Jones. And so and he said, I've been here all afternoon, young man. Or not all afternoon, I've been here for an hour or two. He says, only 3 people have reached this green. He says, that was a nice shot you played in there. I said, thank you very much.
He's the best ever. That's what they all said about Jack Nicklaus. But here's the twist nobody talks about. Jack, the Golden Bear himself, didn't walk through his career thinking he was untouchable. He didn't see himself as some lone king on a mountain. Instead, he surrounded himself with rivals who pushed him, tested him, and earned something far more valuable than fear. They earned his respect. And in the entire history of golf, only 7 men truly claimed that honor. What made these 7 so special? Did they have that hundreds of other great golfers didn't? The answer reveals more about greatness than any trophy ever could. So what does it take to earn the respect of the greatest golfer who ever lived? It's not just about winning. It's not about talent alone. Jack Nicklaus respected competitors who brought something deeper to the game. They needed strategic brilliance, unshakable mental toughness, and a commitment to excellence that matched his own. These 7 men didn't just challenge Jack on the course, they changed him. They shaped the way he thought about golf, competition, and legacy. Let's meet the 7 golfers who earned Jack Nicklaus's highest admiration. First, we need to talk about Arnold Palmer. He wasn't just Jack's rival. He was the man who made modern golf possible. Before Palmer, golf was a gentleman's game played by country club members. He turned it into a global sport. He brought personality, charm, and massive crowds. Jack understood this better than anyone. Once said, Arnold made golf popular. I just happened to come along for the ride. That's respect at its purest form. Jack knew that without Arnold's charisma, his own career wouldn't have meant as much. Arnold opened doors that Jack walked through. Their rivalry in the 1960s was legendary. Arnold had his army of fans who followed him everywhere. They cheered for every shot he made. When Jack came along and started winning, those same fans booed him. They didn't want this young challenger taking down their hero, the outsider, the kid who dared to challenge the king. The crowds made it personal. They wanted Arnold to win and Jack to lose. Here's the beautiful part. Jack never blamed Arnold for the crowds. Clear, I may have had to fight Arnie's army, but I never had to fight Arnold. That separation between the noise of competition and the integrity of the man was what Jack valued most. It wasn't about the scoreboard alone, it was about character. It was about respecting your opponent even when the world around you didn't. Arnold felt the same way. He called Jack the best competitor I ever faced. When he was there, you had to bring your very best. Their battles drove each other to greatness. Arnold brought the crowds and the excitement. Jack brought the precision and the wins. Together, they built the foundation of professional golf as we know it today. Their rivalry wasn't destructive, it was creative. It made both of them richer, more famous, and more respected. The tournaments they competed in drew record crowds. Television ratings soared when both of them were in contention. Golf became must-see entertainment because of their dynamic. Prize money increased dramatically during their era. Sponsors wanted to be part of what they were building. The entire business structure of professional golf changed as these 2 men elevated the sport together. Their influence stretched beyond their playing days. Later in life, they became business partners, designing golf courses together. Friendship lasted decades. Once said that whenever he faced a problem, Arnold was always there for him, and he was there for Arnold too. That loyalty mattered more than any rivalry ever could. Gary Player, the 3rd member of what people called the Big Three. He earned Jack's respect through pure, relentless hard work. Jack, prepared like nobody else, said this about Gary. Gary worked harder than anyone I've ever known. You couldn't outpractice him. Coming from Jack Nicklaus, that's the ultimate compliment. Jack believed that greatness came from discipline and preparation. He proved it every single day. Gary traveled the world competing in tournaments on every continent. This was back when international travel was exhausting and expensive. Most golfers stayed close to home. Not Gary. He believed in spreading the game globally, and he suffered through endless flights and time zones to do it. His dedication to fitness was ahead of its time. He lifted weights, ate healthy, and took care of his body when other golfers didn't bother. Gary's work ethic validated everything Jack believed about the process of becoming great. He showed that natural talent could be matched and even beaten by sheer determination and effort. Gary had his own respect for Jack. He said, Jack had no weakness, none. He was the best strategist the game has ever seen. That mutual admiration created a bond that lasted their entire lives. They competed fiercely against each other but traveled together and supported each other off the course. Jack saw in Gary a mirror of his own commitment. They both understood that talent alone wasn't enough. You had to work harder than everyone else every single day. The Big Three era defined an entire generation of golf. 3 men pushed each other constantly, but they also recognized they were building something bigger than individual victories. We're creating a legacy that would last forever. Now let's go back in time to Ben Hogan. Hogan was Jack's idol. He represented the peak of precision and control in golf. Jack studied Hogan like a student studies a master. Watched how Hogan practiced, how he focused, how he thought about the game. Jack said Hogan's control was unmatched. He was surgical. That admiration shaped how Jack approached his own career. He patterned his focus after Hogan's. He adopted Hogan's method of mentally rehearsing every shot before a tournament. Jack would visualize curving the ball, hitting different targets, and handling pressure situations. All of that came from studying Hogan. Every bit of Jack's mental preparation traced back to lessons learned from the Hawk. Hogan practiced with an intensity that became legendary. He would hit balls until his hands bled. He studied every angle of every shot. He turned golf into a science. Jack took those lessons and applied them to his own game. The mental preparation, the strategic thinking, the refusal to leave anything to chance, these were all Hogan's gifts to Jack. It's fascinating how one generation teaches the next. Hogan gave Jack the blueprint for preparation and focus. Jack then took that blueprint and adapted it for his own era, combining Hogan's precision with his own power game. Hogan, known for being quiet and reserved, recognized that Jack was different. He once said, "That boy plays a game I'm not familiar with." It sounds strange, but it makes perfect sense. Hogan mastered precision iron play. Jack brought power and length that changed the entire strategy of golf. Jack could reach greens that Hogan couldn't, could overpower courses in ways that the older generation never imagined. But Jack never forgot the lessons Hogan taught him. The discipline, the focus, the preparation, all of it came from the Hawk. Jack respected the past while defining the future, built on what Hogan created and took it to new heights. Then there's Seve Ballesteros, the Spanish magician. Seve was the complete opposite of Jack in many ways. Jack played controlled, strategic golf. He minimized risk and maximized efficiency. He played with flair and imagination. He hit shots that nobody else could even picture. Jack loved it. He said, Seve played shots no one else could even see. Flair and emotion back to golf. Jack, the master of percentages, recognized that Seve's artistry was just as valuable as his own strategy. Seve could turn impossible situations into magical moments, find himself in terrible lies, under trees, in deep rough, and somehow create a brilliant recovery. Jack once called a specific shot Sev hit during the 1983 Ryder Cup the greatest shot ever. It was a 3-wood from under the lip of a fairway bunker. Nobody else would have even tried it. Sev pulled it off perfectly. Jack understood that Sev represented a different kind of mastery. While Jack minimized risk, Sev embraced it. While Jack stayed calm, Sev played with passion. Both approaches worked. Both were beautiful. Jack's respect for Sev shows that he valued creativity just as much as control. Sev proved that golf wasn't just about following a formula. It was about feeling, instinct, and daring to try the impossible. Interestingly, Sev admired Jack's discipline. He said, "Jack was my model of control. He showed me how to win with your mind." We learned from each other. Jack taught Sev about mental toughness. Sev reminded Jack that golf was still an art form, not just a science. Watching Sev play was like watching an artist paint. Every shot told a story. Every recovery sparked excitement. He made people fall in love with golf all over again. Fans packed the courses just to see what impossible shot he'd pull off next. Now let's talk about Tom Watson. In the late 1970s, Watson became Jack's greatest rival. He took majors directly from Jack's hands. The most famous moment came at the 1977 Open Championship at Turnberry, known as the Duel in the Sun. Jack and Tom played together in the final round, battling head-to-head in scorching heat. At one point during the round, Watson turned to Jack and asked, "This is what it's all about, isn't it?" Jack immediately said, "You bet it is." That moment captured everything. Both understood the beauty of peak competition. They were creating something bigger than themselves. Watson won that day. Jack and other majors too. But Jack never resented it. He said, "Losing to Tom didn't hurt because I knew I'd lost to greatness." That's the highest form of respect. Jack found satisfaction in competing against someone that good, even when he lost. Watson forced Jack to reach impossible heights. Every time they played, Jack had to be perfect. Watson returned the respect, saying, "Jack didn't just beat you, he taught you how to win." Watson learned from Jack how to handle pressure, how to think strategically, and how to close out majors. Their rivalry elevated both of them. It showed that competition at its best brings out excellence in everyone involved. Lee Trevino was a different kind of challenge. Trevino came from a working-class background. He had no formal training, no country club connections. He learned golf by hustling on public courses, but he had something that frightened Jack: fearlessness. Jack admitted, "Trevino was one of the few guys I couldn't intimidate. He thrived on pressure." For Jack, whose mental game and intimidating presence usually gave him an edge, this was the ultimate compliment. Trevino proved it by beating Jack in critical moments. At the 1971 U.S. Open, Trevino defeated Jack in an 18-hole playoff. Trevino didn't just survive the pressure, he loved it. He joked around, talked to the crowd, and played loose while others tensed up. Jack respected that mental toughness more than anything. Trevino didn't have the perfect swing. Didn't have Jack's power, but he had unbreakable confidence. He showed that you don't need the perfect background or the perfect technique to reach the top. You just need courage and belief in yourself. Trevino proved that champions come from all backgrounds and that attitude matters more than pedigree. Trevino understood Jack's dominance. He once said, "When you beat Jack Nicklaus, you didn't brag, you whispered it." That's how much respect he commanded. Even in victory, Trevino felt the need to show reverence. It tells you everything about Jack's reputation. Against him wasn't just a victory, it was an honor. Finally, we come to Tiger Woods. Tiger is the only golfer Jack ever believed could surpass his record of 18 major championships. Their relationship is unique because they never truly competed against each other in their primes. But they shared something deeper, a hunger for historical greatness. Jack said, "Tiger didn't just want to win, he wanted to beat everyone's best." That's how I felt too. They both understood that the real competition wasn't the guy in the next group. It was Bobby Jones. It was Ben Hogan. It was history itself. They were chasing immortality, not just trophies. Tiger grew up idolizing Jack. Jack set the standard. Every major I've ever played was chasing his shadow. That pursuit defined Tiger's career. When Tiger won his 14th major, people started asking if he'd break Jack's record. Jack watched closely, admired Tiger's intensity and his killer instinct. But as injuries mounted and Tiger's dominance faded, Jack offered a thoughtful assessment. He believed Tiger could have broken the record but lost that crucial edge. Jack understood better than anyone how hard it is to sustain excellence across decades. He respected Tiger not just for what he achieved, but for how close he came to the impossible. The fact that Tiger came so close to breaking an unbreakable record says everything about his greatness. So what does all this tell us? These 7 golfers represent every dimension of greatness. Arnold Palmer brought cultural impact and personal integrity. Gary Player brought discipline and relentless work ethic. Ben Hogan brought strategic precision and mental preparation. Seve Ballesteros brought artistry and imagination. Tom Watson brought peak competitive fire. Lee Trevino brought psychological toughness. Tiger Woods brought historical ambition. Jack Nicklaus respected them all because they each mastered something essential. Each one showed a different path to excellence. Each one proved that greatness has many faces. But here's the deeper truth. These 7 golfers weren't just rivals, they were mirrors. Jack saw pieces of himself in each of them. He saw his own commitment in Gary Player. He saw his strategic mind in Ben Hogan. He saw his competitive fire in Tom Watson. He saw his respect for history in Tiger Woods. They didn't just challenge Jack on the golf course. They shaped who he became, to stay sharp, to keep evolving, to never settle. Without them, Jack's 18 majors would mean less. They gave his victories context and weight. They proved that Jack didn't just beat average players, he beat the absolute best the game had ever seen. Jack Nicklaus earned his place as the greatest golfer ever, not just through his own excellence, but through the quality of the competition he respected. He didn't fear great players, he celebrated them. He learned from them. He honored them. That's what separates legends from champions. A champion beats everyone around him. A legend lifts everyone up while still winning. Jack did both. He showed us that you can be fiercely competitive and deeply respectful at the same time. That balance defined his entire career. 7 men taught us that respect isn't given for wins alone. Earned through character, discipline, creativity, mental toughness, commitment to greatness that never fades. Nicklaus built his legacy by competing against the best in every category. Most charismatic rival in Arnold Palmer. Fought the hardest worker in Gary Player, the most precise technician in Ben Hogan. He battled the most creative genius in Seve Ballesteros. He dueled the toughest mental competitor in Tom Watson. He faced the most fearless underdog in Lee Trevino. He passed the torch to the most historically ambitious player in Tiger Woods. It's the real story of Jack Nicklaus. His greatness wasn't built in isolation. It's forged through respect, rivalry, and the recognition that excellence comes in many forms. These 7 golfers proved that you don't have to play the same way to earn admiration. Have to bring your absolute best and never compromise on what makes you great. The lesson here goes beyond golf. It teaches us that true greatness recognizes and honors greatness in others. It shows us that the best way to become legendary is to compete against legends and respect them every step of the way. If you enjoyed learning about the 7 golfers who earned Jack Nicklaus's respect, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more golf history content. Drop a comment below and tell us which of these 7 golfers you admire most and why. Was it Arnold's charisma, Gary's work ethic, or Tiger's ambition? Maybe it was Seve's creativity or Hogan's precision. Let's keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.